Running. It's Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. So that means we are chatting live. So tonight I am thrilled to announce that I'm here with ASICS frontrunner, mum of three, and hijab wearer Taz Anwar, also known as Taz. How are you, Taz?
Hi, Claire. I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Fantastic, and it has been a rainy day. Have you been running today, or are you saving yourself for tomorrow?
I I don't mind running in the rain, but I'm saving myself for tomorrow. I went out on a trail run last night, so I thought I'll have a rest day today and then back to it tomorrow. Yeah.
Fantastic. That is a good plan, definitely. And so we're here tonight. I kind of befriended you on Twitter a while back, but I thought it'd be
Yeah.
fantastic to get you in, like in the current climate, to talk about 5 ways that everybody can just help increase the diversity of trail running. We're a really friendly community, but it's always great to increase diversity. So we'll be going through your 5 ways during the course of this conversation. But first of all, I just wanted to get from you why you love running in the first place, especially trail running, which I know is a new thing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think why I love running is I think it's a number of reasons. So for me, firstly, it's that's a sense of freedom, just being out, especially on the trails, just being out and connecting with nature and enjoying actually the beauty that surrounds us and appreciating that. I really love that. And it's a way to disconnect from, the busy lives that we have, whether it's as, as a mum or as a wife or even whatever it may be, or an employee, just to kind of disconnect from everything. And it's just you out on the trails or or on the road, wherever you're running, and it's just you and your footsteps, or a bit of music, whatever you like to do. um Also, for me, I love the challenge that it gives me. So, especially when you're training for a race, those little milestones that you reach, whether it's whether it's just a 5 mile or whether it's 3 miles, whatever it is that you're training for, just achieving those little milestones and thinking, yes, I can do that, and realizing that if you work hard for something and train and be consistent, that you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. So that for me is why I love running. But I think the biggest thing about running is the community. Without running, I don't think I'd have met the number of people that I've met, whether it's in person or whether it's virtual. I have just met the most amazing people and connected to so many people. I probably wouldn't have done so if I wasn't running. So that's why. And trail running, it's like I've just discovered that I think just in just before lockdown started, and I think that really kind of pushed me out on the trails. Um, and I've got trails on my doorstep which I didn't even know existed, embarrassingly, which is like just a mile from my house. And I was like, how did I not know these were here? And they're just here, and I'm just like, why? Like, I might as well be out there. So I've explored different trails. I'm starting quite close to home and kind of venturing a little bit out as my confidence has been growing in trail running. And it is just being out there, and at the moment things are very green, which is nice, and enjoying all that and seeing different sights, and it's just lovely, actually. Just really, really enjoying, and I've got the real sort of the bug, I think, for trail running now. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And just as you were speaking just now, I was just popping up a few pictures that you said I could pop up from Twitter, because you've just
Yeah.
been out with a couple of companies recently. Like, was it Girls Run the World, and then there was another company as well. It looks brilliant, those trips that you've been on.
Yes, I've been doing so. I've been out with Venture Trails Collective, which is a local company. Also, Playing the Wild UK, the Chilterns division. Been out with them. And I think my first traveling experience was with the Run the Wild UK at Intring. We went out. Yeah, and this is beautiful things we've got on our doorstep, which we're so blessed to have. Definitely.
Definitely. And you live in Buckinghamshire, and you work as a pharmacist, is that right?
Yes, yes. I live in Bucks. We've got the Chiltern Hills, right here, which are beautiful, and I'm still amazed, at the different places I'm finding to run. And yes, I'm a pharmacist. I work for a pharmaceutical company. I used to work sort of for the chemist shops and the NHS, but I kind of moved on from that as my career's progressed, and that keeps me very busy as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you also, I see that you have 3 children as well, and that story that's a little bit involved with why you started running in the first place. Could you just take us through that part of your life and your sort of journey into running and where it took you?
Yeah, so yes, I've got 3 children. I've got 3 boys. They keep me very busy as well. They're all under the age of 12.
Oh
Uh,
wow, do they like to run with you then?
no. So my youngest, he does a bit of the junior park run when it was on,
Hmm.
but my older two, they like to be the helpers. So they help out at junior park run with the barcode scanning. They don't. They're not. I'm not going to force them. It's if they love the running, that's great. If not, that's not a problem. Um, so yeah, so my children are the reason why I kind of, I guess, got into running. So I've got 3 children, and so about 3 years ago, I was at a point where I wanted to kind of feel healthier and get active. So I'd lost some weight through dieting, but I wanted something more sustainable. So I was on holiday at the time with my family, a very exotic Great Yarmouth, and I was like, I really want to do something, and I think we were out that day out in the, sea air, or along the beach and walking, and I thought I want to do something that's outdoorsy. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll just go and run. It just popped into my head. I'll just go and run just around the little holiday village where we was like a mile little loop. Um, I didn't normally have trainers, but I had an old pair in the boot of my car. Went to the car, got my trainers on. Said to my husband, "Come on, just come with me. Let's go and do a little loop round, a little run walk." And we both sort of did a little run walk round. And it took us probably over 20 minutes just to run walk a mile. But when I finished, I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed that, and that wasn't too bad. Um, and bearing in mind, I wasn't wearing any running gear. I was just in my, like my hijab and just a normal kind of skirt or something. Um, and I just really enjoyed doing so. So when I got back to where we were staying, I was kind of googling, running near me, what's happening, and then this little park run popped up, and I looked at. So I thought, oh, that's what's that all about? So I looked at, where the events were happening. Realized there was one very close to me. Where I live in High Wycombe, kind of signed up while I was there. When I got home, put off the barcode, and I went along that following week to parkrun. But before I got there, there were so many thoughts kind of going through my head, like, what do I wear? Is what I'm wearing going to be okay? Or what are people going to think of me? Because obviously I wear a hijab, which is what I'm wearing right now. People are going to look at me strangely, or are they going to think that I don't belong there? I didn't know much about parkrun at that time. But I thought, you know what, no, I'm going to go along. I'll just do my thing. I went along, looked around. There wasn't anybody that was kind of looked like me. So there wasn't anybody else I could see that was wearing a hijab. Um, and I thought, okay, I'm the only one here. But no, but nobody said anything. Nobody kind of gave me any funny looks. Actually, I just got lots more smiles and hello. And I walked, the 5K, and there was volunteers were out on the course, and they were kind of saying well done and go on, nearly there. I was like, oh, this is really nice. People are cheering me on. And I was coming up towards the finish funnel, and so the other volunteers and some of the other runners were kind of there and kind of clapping me and cheering, and the whole atmosphere was so amazing, and it was such a buzz that I thought, wow, what was I worried about? Because nobody said anything negative. It was all so positive. Um, and I didn't realize how inclusive and how encouraging parkrun was at the time. And I had such a positive experience from that first parkrun that went back week after week. And then saw myself improving in my 5K and sort of decreasing the amount of walking I was doing, and then set myself a goal for 6 months' time to then run my first half marathon. And that's where it all started.
Wow. Oh, that's incredible. And you ran your first half marathon so that was 6 months later in 2017. And then 2 years later, 2019, you ran a marathon. How did that feel? Did you think that was where you were going to go when you first started?
No, I always said, I'm never going to run a marathon. Why would anybody put themselves through 26.2 miles? It's just so long. But so last October, I ran Loch Ness Marathon, and
Fantastic.
it was so amazing. And it was in time with a big birthday. Uh, well, before I wanted to do it before reached a big birthday. But it was
21.
before I wish, I wish. It was before I turned 40. I thought, right, I want to run a marathon. And I wanted to do it for a good cause. I did it for Macmillan Cancer, and and I just thought, "Hey, you know what? I want to see whether I can do it. I want to push myself and see whether I can reach this milestone. Because not everybody can run a marathon. Not everybody wants to run a marathon. So I thought, game on, let's do this. And I did. I didn't set myself a time. It was just more about getting the distance done. And Loch Ness is not an easy one for a first marathon because it's not flat. Obviously, it's quite undulating.
Yeah. Yeah. You picked a difficult one there to start with, in at the deep end.
It was. But actually, do you know what? I kind of I ran, and I sort of walked some of it just to enjoy the views. And there were some bits which were actually quite steep. So there was a few of us that kind of walked together. As we were walking, we were kind of chatting and getting to know each other and kind of just egging each other on. And then once we kind of reached top of the hill, we were like, okay, right, let's go and run the rest of the 6 miles. And we ran the rest of it, and it was just so lovely. And it's a quiet course until you get into the town, so it's quite it's pretty quiet. So you've only got the other runners to kind of talk to.
Yeah, and the
Um,
beautiful scenery of the mountains as well. It's interesting that you went straight for the kind of the mountainous areas as well.
yes, yes, and it was just so beautiful. And tried to spot Nessie. I didn't see her unfortunately, but I know she's there. Maybe next time.
Yeah,
But
you'll have to do it
it,
again.
I will do. It was just. I'm glad I chose it as my first one because it was just so amazing, and I think that kind of, in a way, kind of sparked my interest into trail running because it was just the views and just being out there. It was just so lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody watching will agree with you that it's beautiful to run in the mountains, even if you are doing a road marathon. It's still beautiful to be there.
Yeah.
And I just want to give you just a little sense of some people watching live just now. And if you are live and you have got a question for Taz, then don't hesitate to pop it there on the live chat. But Kurt Steed, he's watching in America. He says, woohoo, hi Claire and Taz. Philip Haddock says, hi Taz and Claire. Guy says, hi all, this will be very interesting. And Nigel Barnett has just joined. He says, hi everyone, just made it. And then we've got Nadia Federman as well saying, hello you lovely people. And Rich Simpson says he's got a question later as well. Great story for how Taz started running and getting to marathon distance, inspirational stuff. So you're already inspiring the people watching live, and people will be able to watch this again on this link, and there'll be a podcast version later on. So just search Taz Anwar and Wild Ginger Running in your normal podcast provider, and you'll be able to find it. And definitely follow her at This Hijabi Runs, which I have put down the bottom of the screen there. So yeah, let's get on with the nitty gritty, which we're going to be talking about the 5 ways to increase diversity in trail running. But first of all, I just thought we should just outline, for anybody who's not familiar with a hijab, what is a hijab, and and why do you wear one? What does it mean to you?
Yeah. So the hijab is what you see me wearing here in purple, and that's my favourite colour, which is why I'm wearing purple today.
I've put your things in purple just here. I've put your Twitter thing in This Hijabi Runs in purple.
Lovely, thank you. This is called a hijab. It's kind of the head covering, but hijab is also a lot more than just the head covering. It's all about kind of a bit of modesty as well. So what I mean by that is, if you look at all my running pictures, you won't see me wearing short sleeves. You won't see me wearing shorts, for example. So you won't see much more skin as you see than my face and my hands. So that's part of hijab as well. So I wear hijab because that's what my faith kind of advises we should wear. It's not compulsory in the sense that if I don't wear it, anyone's going to disown me or be angry at me. It's I wear it because I want to wear it. I started wearing the hijab when I was at university. So, I'll say not so long ago, it was quite a while ago I was at university, but that's when I started wearing it. At that time, my close family members were not wearing hijab either. So I wasn't brought up in the environment where it was forced upon me or, kind of, I wasn't frowned upon that I wasn't wearing the hijab. It was completely my decision to wear the hijab. And it's been fine actually, sort of running in a hijab. And I mean, I know it brings up a lot of questions. We can definitely address those as well as to hijab and running. Um, and it's a part of me now, I guess. I can't see myself running or being out there or without a hijab. Um, it's who I am. But obviously there's a lot more to me than the hijab. This is just what you see, but there's also a lot more to me than just the hijab as well. I don't wear it at home. I'm only wearing it today because obviously we're having this call. I don't wear it around the house. I don't need to wear it around the house. Um, yeah, I mean, if anyone's got any specific questions about it, obviously I'm happy to answer any other questions too about it.
Yeah, well, we do have a question sent in prior by Rich Simpson, who is watching live just now, and he is really interested to know. He wants to know about like right now it's really hot, so he says it's got to be really warm wearing your hijab. So how do you keep cool? He says he sometimes wears a cap to keep the intense sun off, but he soaks it in water first to keep his head cool. And he also just wants to say that he thinks running's a really inclusive sport. So I'm glad that you found that to be true at Parkrun. And so he's guessing that it might be like a cultural thing that you're breaking into, and I'm sure we'll cover more of that later. But yeah, that's just where he's coming from. He's just wondering about the practicalities of wearing the hijab for running.
Absolutely. So yeah, of course. So, you know what it's like when you're wearing a cap, you do feel hot. So similarly, wearing a hijab, of course, you're gonna feel hot. But the hijabs that I wear for running are special material. So there's the sweat wicking ones, and they're thinner than sort of what I'm wearing now, which is a cotton, which I would never wear while I was running. So yes, you do feel warm. So what I tend to do is if I'm just doing a normal training run, if I know it's going to be a really hot day, I'll probably go out a little bit earlier in the day when it's not really hot, just so it's a bit more comfortable to run, or maybe later on in the evening as well when it's not, blazing heat. When I've been at races, obviously you can't control what time they start. When I've been at races, I do what you do. I'll probably put a bottle of water over my head just to cool down. I'll make sure I'm obviously hydrated. I've got electrolytes on board, and I've never had to sort of pull out of a race because I've overheated. Because you trial all that through running, through your training, don't you? You kind of see, you run at different times of day to kind of see what works, what electrolytes work, what gels work, what how to fuel. So that's all. I build that into my training as well, just to ensure that I can run at different times and I'm comfortable running at different times. I've ran in hot countries. I ran in Marrakesh. Again, very similar. Just make sure you're just make sure you're safe and be sensible. And I think that's all you can do. I don't use it as an excuse to not to run, anywhere or not to partake in a race because of the hijab. And it is just about being adaptable and being flexible, and just remembering, the normal rules we would follow about being out in the sun, basically. So
yeah, and actually, like, as a ginger person, I think it's great that you wear such long sleeves and the long trousers, because I have to like cover my body in sun cream, and sometimes I'm the only person wearing some kind of long sleeve thing in the middle of a hot sunny day because of the skin. So I think whatever you want to wear to run in, nobody really has a right to question that or say what the hell are you doing, apart from if if you were wearing maybe only shorts and t-shirt and you were venturing into the mountains, you seem a lot more prepared for the British climate than most of the non-Muslims around. So Guy is also saying it's great to see brands like Nike making sport hijabs, and I've seen them in decathlon as well. So it's great that that it's been embraced, it's been seen. There's a need for this, because I saw a lovely story when I was doing my research on you, that you wore a normal hijab when you were first starting running, and it was a winter, and you got frost all over it, and you said that was quite a funny thing to happen.
It was,
So
it
yes,
was
all a learning
funny.
curve.
Absolutely, because yes, I had frost on my hijab. You can see sweat kind of droplets on my hijab. So so you need the right material, which is the sport wicking ones, and it's good to select. So the big brands do have them. There's also smaller brands that are doing them as well. So they've addressed the need, which is really really good. Yes.
Yes, yeah, and also Kurt has said he's in America, as I said earlier, and he said there's a young lady. I'm guessing he means a young lady in a hijab that runs for one of the local universities here in the US. So she's in the highest level of athletics in the US university there. So yeah, he's saying definitely there's no barriers to wearing the hijab and being a super good runner, or just enjoying your running, whatever you feel like. But not everybody feels the same way as you, do they, Taz? And I've got a question here from Guy. He wants me to ask you. I know you obviously can't speak for your whole community, but like why do you feel that he's put here Asian people, and so for the Americans watching, that they usually call kind of more Chinese populations, I think they call them Asians, but in Britain we tend to call Asian people people from India and the places around India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, etc. He's saying, why do you personally feel like Asian people don't run as much as the white people? Is it the culture, or like is there something culturally which is not as involved in exercise or running in particular? Because he said he went to Parkrun in Oldham, which has a really good big Asian community, and there was none running at the Parkrun. So it just got him thinking about why there's so many white people running and not so many brown people and black people running.
And that's quite surprising what you mentioned about Oldham, because I would have thought there would have been a lot
Yeah,
more Asian people running there.
maybe it was
Um,
Eid.
possibly, or Ramadan, for example. So
Yeah.
I think I think it can be a number of things. A lot of it is, like you said, that it's culture, and for them, it's not a high priority to be out there and be active. But that's a shame, because in our faith, we are told to look after our bodies. So being active is actually a good thing to do. So it's a shame when people feel that it's not a priority for them, because it should be. When it comes to, I guess, for women in particular, a lot of it is about um, finding a space that you feel safe to run, because I think a lot of it is we've said there is no barrier to running, right? But it's the internal barriers that we feel that they're are there. So whether it be expectations from family that you should be at home, you should be taking care of the family. And then if as a woman you're going out for yourself to exercise, whether it will be perceived as being selfish. And I think there's that worry as well from women, that it might get perceived as something quite wrong, that if they're out running. There's worries from women from certain communities, that how will other women from their community kind of um, perceive them as well if they're out running? It might be seen as something negative, because they may be dressed slightly differently to what they traditionally wear. There's that. But also following on from that, you might start women going out to run because they feel they have to look a certain way, that they can't dress in what they feel comfortable in to go out and run. So that could be a barrier. For some women, they want to run in a female only environment. That's not always readily available. There's not enough female leaders to lead runs, and there's a whole mixture of things. Um, but I know personally from my experience that the running community is actually the most welcoming, and um, it's just so welcoming. And I just wish that I want to get more women, especially more Muslim women, to kind of see that it's not, there is nothing stopping us to, being active. A lot of it is just our own and our own feelings, our own thoughts, our own worries, which are stopping us from being there. I mean, when I've been out running in my own community, I think that I used to worry about being seen by, the community. So when I first started running, I used to run so early in the morning so that, nobody would see me. And as I kind of shifted my times and got more confident in running, I run at all times of the day. And when I have seen people from the community, I'm thinking, oh, they're going to say something, and they do, but actually it's positive. They'll say, "Oh, well done, you." So I haven't had anything negative from my own community, but I know it's not like that for everyone. I think I'm quite lucky in that sense. I've got, very supportive family who are, who don't mind me, very supportive of me out, to go out and run. And because I don't just stick to home, I've been out to different countries to race and all over the place. So, and they're very supportive of that. So I'm quite lucky, but not everybody has that, and that can stop them as well.
Yeah, and it's just really interesting, those issues that you've been describing there, because I don't think it's just Muslim communities and Muslim women that have those same issues. It's the same for new runners, whether they're male or female. And then with the guilt thing, especially if you have children, women from all cultures, and then also larger people as well. I mean, the amount of abuse larger people get thrown at them on the street just for running, then yeah, there's a lot of people who feel exactly the same. So I think what you're doing is really amazing in being out there and showing people just like you that they can do this exact same thing, because some people who aren't as confident as you will need that. I had a great question there just lined up, and oh yes, that was it. Yes, so this is a good point for us to talk about what happened on Strava. So Strava showed an image of you in your hijab running, and it kind of stirred up a little bit of, there was a lot of support there, which I thought was great, but it did stir up some intolerance, didn't it? Can you just take us through that and like how you felt about it, and because that kind of explains why women like you feel these ways, doesn't it? Like, because there are people like that out there that will judge and they'll go, oh.
Yes. So the whole point of that Strava post was talking about local legends. So it was all about showcasing different people from across the community, across the running and cycling world, as to what we all do. And so my post was about kind of showing that wearing a hijab is not a barrier to being active, and a little bit about what I do in terms of being a run director for junior parkrun and things I'm involved in, such as that. But there were people who saw my image, a woman in a hijab, and they couldn't get past that fact that there was somebody in a hijab coming up on their Strava feed. They felt that because I was in religious clothing, that the post was automatically political, and they were kind of saying to Strava, "Why are you making this about politics? This is a running and cycling platform." But they completely missed the point of the post. It was about encouraging other women who may dress differently, may not so like me, but maybe dress differently for whatever reason, or may lack confidence in running for whatever reason it may be, to show that, you know what, we can do this, we can go out and run. As you said, there was a lot of the comments were largely positive, which was so wonderful to read. But I couldn't help looking at some of the negative ones. Some of them were very Islamophobic, full of hate, and just very ignorant in their comments. And I mentioned this somewhere else before, that I think the one that hurt me the most, when someone said, if I collapsed at a race because, I don't know, maybe I was dehydrated, for example, which was clearly brought on by me being covered up, they wouldn't help me because of my own fault.
I bet they would if they were actually faced with that situation. But that's a horrible thing to say. Oh my god.
One really got to me. I was like, as on a human level, to another human being, how could you say something? I'm not going to help you because of the way you're dressed. And I just thought, why? Just why is the hijab such why does it bring out people's worst side? And I just couldn't understand it. But to be fair to Strava, they were very good. They have closed people's accounts who were overtly racist and
Really?
Islamophobic.
That's
They did.
amazing, isn't it?
They did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
fantastic support. I know they put a post on there kind of, backing you up, supporting you, which was
Yeah.
fantastic because you'd expect that because they asked you to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Um, and, obviously, like every big organisation should act like that. But that's brilliant. I'm glad that they closed those accounts down. I wonder where those people have gone. Like sometimes I feel like those are the people you need to reach out to the most and educate the most, even though it may be the most painful thing to do. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
rather than alienate them and then they go, oh, I just said my views and now everyone hates me. And then it just reinforces the bad views, doesn't it? But it's so hard to cope with. Like as a
Yeah.
person, that's a really personal comment.
I think with some of these people, you can't reason with them.
Yeah.
They just have their views and they're not going to take anything else. So you kind of have to choose your battles, I think, sometimes. But you try not to read the negative comments, but you want to kind of see what people are saying, and it's hard not to read them. Um, and it was sad to read those horrible comments. But then I was reminded by some very good friends to focus on all the positive comments that were there and all the what I've done and what I've achieved to date, and not to sort of worry about people like that. And they were so right. It's not to worry about people have those kind of thoughts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like don't worry about the haters. And
yeah,
I don't want to minimize this in any way, but I think that for anybody who puts themselves out there like you have done, you're always going to get some haters. And so what you've done is incredibly brave and courageous, I think, because you look more different than most of the people that are running in the UK. So it's just really brilliant what you're doing, and I just think it's very courageous. And I just wanted to ask you another question because I
yeah.
think increasing diversity is what we're going to talk about soon, like ways to do that. But I'm just wondering, well, actually, Becky is wondering, Becky McCoy is saying she is interested to know are there any statistics out there about how diverse or how not diverse the UK is in terms of people of colour attending running events compared to other European countries? Do you sort of know anything about that?
I don't think we have those figures yet. I know
Yeah.
another organisation. I think they're called Black Trail Runners. I think they've requested this data from race organisers. Race organisers. I don't think we have that yet. So I'll be very interested to see what the figures are. Definitely as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, because like just anecdotally, just from going to trail races, if I
Yeah.
see somebody who is not white at a trail run, I'm immediately like, oh, hello. And
Yeah.
usually I go to interview them for my film to represent, you know? So sorry, everybody. If you're brown or black, you will get more harassed by me. I'm really sorry. But especially for the shy people as well. It's like not everybody wants to represent their community when they're just out for a nice day off a run. But Becky's specific question for you, Taz, is what is the most diverse and inclusive event that you have ever been to?
That's a good question. I think like you, so when you go to a race, you look around to see, who's here. And if I see somebody in a hijab, I'll probably make the extra effort to go and kind of say hello to them and see where they're from. So I'd say the most kind of inclusive one and diverse one was probably one of my local races that I've done, is Marlow 7. Um, I saw quite a few of us in sort of hijab wearing, but also it was encouraged to wear fancy dress that day as well. There
Uh,
was a lot of people dressed in different ways. So I wasn't the only one dressed differently, if that makes sense. So the people running in massive outfits are covered up even more than I was. And there were lots of people locally and from surrounding areas. So I think it's probably more of my local races. I would say are probably the more of the, sort of the diverse ones that I've seen.
yeah.
And I went to Marrakesh for a race a few years back. Um, I saw a few hijabi runners there, um, but that was quite a mixed event. There were lots of people from the UK that I met and lots of local people as well. Um, I think when it comes to races, especially I think road races, probably getting there with the diversity, and I think it's still, and I don't know I don't know sort of what the answers are as to why we're not seeing more diversity in trail running. Um, but that I think that will change, and I think it's things like this, opening up the conversations, having that dialogue, and I think we will see that change coming soon, definitely as well.
Yes, yeah, I hope so, and I think just current events just make everybody more aware of things like this. Like it's always been something that a lot of us in the media have kind of strived for and tried to do, but now that it's more out in the open, it's a lot easier for me to say, oh hi, I'm contacting you for a photo shoot, but it's really important that you do come because you're not white, and otherwise it will just be all white people. So like that's made me feel awkward to have to do that in the past,
Yeah,
but
can you imagine?
now, yeah, and also because like I don't know, because like I've got tons of friends who are not white, and like I can kind of joke quite easily with them, but that's
Yeah,
because I know them.
yeah,
And I've got a friend Gurdeep, and he's like, hey Ginger, and I'm like, hey Asian, like that. And like we used to joke at uni that one day I'd get punched in the face saying that to him because somebody wouldn't understand that we had this little
yeah,
joke between us. So I just find like I'm not the most tactful of people as it is anyway, and so for like it actually kind of worries me if I'm going to put my foot in it, because as far as I'm concerned, runners are runners, and I just want as many different people to be represented as possible, and that's all I'm trying to achieve.
yeah,
So yeah, sometimes you just have to say, "You're brown. Please, can you come be in my photo shoot?" in a nice,
yeah,
tactful way,
yeah.
so that I can represent. You know.
Yeah.
Um, so I just
And
want to.
that's
Oh,
that,
sorry, you
yeah.
say.
That's about it. It's that just kind of showing sort of Asian runners or whatever community it is that there are people out there that are doing that, because I think that's what's lacking, isn't it? There isn't, it's not showcased that there are runners out there that kind of you can relate to. And I think once we kind of, once magazines show, black and Asian runners on their magazines, and like, showcasing in videos that there are people out there, I think that's when we'll start seeing the change, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And it's people like you who are going to lead the way, which is fantastic. And I just want to read out some really nice comments on the live chat here. If you've got any more, if you're thinking some nice thoughts about Taz, now's the time to write them on the live chat so that I can feed them to her and she can become more inspired in this work that she's doing. So Recycle on Wednesdays says, Taz, you are too right, Taz. You do so much to educate people who are open to learning. You don't need to make yourself a punching bag for people who don't want to be reached. So that was in
Yeah.
relation to the Strava comment. Um, yeah, Rich Simpson, he has to go, but he says, "What a wonderful person Taz is. I would love to go for a run with you if you're ever swinging by Pembrokeshire." So there
Oh, lovely. Yeah,
you have an open invite.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Um, yeah. And Guy says people need role models to aspire to. So yeah. Thank you to Taz for being a really good role model to so many people. And hopefully, if you're listening and you are a hijab wearer, then hopefully Taz's comments and practical advice will inspire you to give running a go. And then we have a question here which leads us on to the 5 ways that you're going to share with us about increasing diversity in trail running. So Kurt, from all the way from America, he says, in terms of diversity in the trail running world, how does Taz feel is the best way to help? So he said, is it more like promoting like elite level athletes, like until recently they've had very few African American trail icons like Joe Gray, Corey Waltering, Yassine DeBoon, as well as influencers like Myrna Valerio. So there haven't been many like that getting out there until just recently, and he hopes things are turning around. But so is it more about the elite level and the influencer level, or he says is it more about trying to find ways at the local level to get more diverse groups going? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a mixture of both, to be honest. I think probably largely, I think it's at local level, because those are the people that we can relate to, because they're like us. They kind of run similar paces to us, maybe something we can achieve very easily. But on a greater scale, yes, we need to have sort of the elites out there as well, and then it gives us normal runners something else to aspire to as well. So I think it's not either or, it's a bit of both, definitely.
Yeah, I thought you might say that because I was thinking that the same thing myself. Um, yeah, I was listening to Myrna Valerio talking on the Rich Roll podcast. I don't know if you've heard that one. It's well worth. Yeah, it's really worth a listen if you have time. It's quite long. It's like 2 hours long, but I just listen to it on my runs, so it's good use of time. But yeah, she was talking about the Black Lives Matter campaign. They're obviously in America, so it's kind of a little bit different over there, I feel sometimes. But yeah, it was really interesting, and just so good that we're opening up the kind of the conversation, and not kind of pussyfooting around things and going, oh yeah, everything's fine in Britain.
Yeah.
um,
Lois,
yeah. um, so yeah, I've asked you all the questions from patrons. If there are any more questions on the live chat, then do feel free to fire away, because we have Taz for another few minutes, like 5 or so minutes. But yes, would you like to share or start sharing your 5 ways to increase diversity in trail running? Like, I'm really keen because I've got a few here that I thought that I could help with. So yeah, do you want to share yours first, and then I'll see if they're the same as mine.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just my own kind of personal view as what I think will help, but obviously there's no right or wrong answer here, I think. So my kind of 5 top tips would be kind of know your community. So who is it that's around and who's running with you? Because until you know that, you haven't got the right tools, I guess, to help people to get out onto the trails. And my second tip would be what you've mentioned already, is actually just be a champion and be an ally, and kind of showcase when you come across trail runners from different backgrounds, and whether it be your social media, and opportunities like this, I think is all about championing other trail runners, so that then, people who are thinking about trail running, they can see that there are other people out there who look like them, and there are people out there that are running in hijabs, or a turban, for example, or whatever it may be. So I think that's my second tip. My third tip is, if you are a running leader, or someone in that position, sort of drive and initiate activities which encourage trail runners. For example, women only trail running initiatives, which will then help get more women out on the trails who may be from ethnic backgrounds, who don't feel comfortable running in a mixed environment, for example. The last 2 points are actually what actions people like myself can take, and other women or other men who are of same background, is actually, people like us, we need to get trained as and become run leaders, so then we can then share our knowledge with other people from our own community and get them out there and show, look, I'm here from your community, I'm going to take you out running on this fabulous trail, come with me on this journey. So that's on people like me to go and do that. Also, for people like me, from our community, is actually not be shy and not shy away from showcasing what we're doing, because it's so easy to think, oh, people might think I'm boasting, or people might think negatively if I'm sharing, but it's not about that at all. It's what someone said to me quite a few times already, is we can't be what we can't see. So if I hide away and not show me as a hijabi woman, running, if somebody is looking to run but they can't see anybody else that looks like them, it may put them off running, for example, or they might feel, oh, but why aren't Muslim women running? There must be a reason why, so maybe I can't go out and run. So it is just about keep showcasing what you're doing, and not be afraid to be on platforms such as on here or Strava or whatever it may be, and just keep shouting about what you're doing. They are my 5 tips.
Yeah, they're really brilliant. I love those tips. Yeah, and I think that's really vital what you said about sharing what you're doing, because some people, they might be a bit modest, or they might think that that's how they should be to be modest. And I think just showing what you're doing can be a really powerful thing, and it's so easy as well. Because and so yeah, I think that's just a really simple thing that everybody can do. And just going on with the whole social media thing, um, being in the media myself as a journalist, my aim really is to just represent as diverse a population as I can whenever I do photo shoots. So, or films. So I've already mentioned that I kind of hone in on people of colour at trail races, because I want to represent, like at the at the National Running Show. I did a film for them, I think 2 years ago, and I was really pleased because I got a Japanese person, I got a person in a turban. I think he was wearing a turban, and he had a beard, and I got I think yes, I got a black person as well, and I was like, brilliant! I'm representing all these people. It's fantastic. So just doing things like that, and having people like you to chat with, and I didn't know whether people like me could go and do a talk in Asian communities, because obviously, like, I can project to my community, but it's kind of predominantly white at the moment, even though I am making more contacts with people of colour, because all this, we're talking about all this kind of thing now, but I didn't know whether that would be better coming from a person like you, probably, wouldn't it? Because I'd just walk in and go, oh yeah, I run, and I don't have any barriers. Whereas if you walked in and you're like, I look like you, I'm wearing the hijab, I run, come follow me, I think that would be better coming from a person within the community, I reckon.
I think it's still nice to get people in. I mean, it doesn't have to be someone that looks like me. I think it's still nice. I think as a woman, for someone else to come in and say, I'm a woman and I'm a runner, I think that really kind of speaks volumes as well. So I wouldn't necessarily kind of rule yourself out of coming to speak to different communities. I don't think you should do that. I think it's still wonderful to have you come to our community and kind of share your love of running as
Yeah.
well.
Ah, okay, great. So we'll do that sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I know that you and I are going to meet up in November sometime, and we're going to go for a run in the Peak District. So that will be cool, and we'll make a film about that. So hopefully we can share that far and wide, and get loads of people out seeing hijabi people running in the mountains. So it won't be like a big shock to anyone. Yeah.
yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I did actually have a work experience girl on Trail Running Magazine. She wore the hijab, and we had her running in the hills. She had never run in the mountains before, but she was amazing. She just got on with it, and she was fine, and yeah, she loved it. So yeah, it's. Back then, I think that was 3 or 4 years ago. I think that was quite unusual, but I don't think anyone will bat an eyelid these days. Hopefully not, anyway.
No.
Yeah. Well, I am just going to read out some more comments for you, so that you will feel loved and appreciated, Taz, because I do appreciate the time that you've given us tonight. I know that we have to end the chat very soon. So Nadia says, yes, keep going, Taz. You are giving a great example. John Gardner says, this conversation with Taz will help me better support 2 hijab wearing runners in my local running club. Hey, that is good. Yeah. And Kurt Steege wants us to watch Yassine and Corey on the Ginger Runner. He's done YouTube chats with them, and they're really inspiring as people of colour, so that's fab. So lots of external links here. And Philip Haddock says, loving this interview with Taz, finding it very interesting. Keep up the good work. And Guy said, that's a great one. Become a running leader, definitely. And you can, and he said, just carried it on here, you can go into a school and take a group of kids on trail runs. So that's his idea.
Yeah.
And Nigel Barnett says, very thought-provoking tips. And Vic Knight says, well done, Taz, for showing such leadership. Keep on doing what you're doing. You will make a difference, and plenty of existing runners will get behind your cause.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone. It's really lovely to hear. Oh.
Yeah. And Joe White says, "You've given me lots to think about. Thank you, smiley face." So yeah,
Oh.
that's brilliant. So just before we end the chat, would you? Is there anything that we haven't covered? Like, is there anything that you think is important to say, or if any hijabi runners or well hijabi wearers, more like, are watching and they're still a bit unsure? Like, is there anything that you wanted to kind of the final thoughts to be?
Yeah, I think for any other hijabi sort of runners, I would say just get out there because there actually isn't anything to worry about. You once you get out there and run, you'll be fine. Just make sure you've got the right hijab, sort of a sports looking one, which makes it just a lot more comfortable. And don't be afraid, because the running community is so amazing and it's so inclusive and so welcoming. You'll be fine and you love it. That's my life tips.
Fantastic. And starting at parkrun, that's a definite great place, isn't it? Because I am thinking some people who wear the hijab, if they run on certain streets, people are going to yell at them, aren't they? Like in certain rough, horrible areas. But
Yeah,
parkrun,
yeah,
everybody will be lovely and welcoming.
yeah.
So that is a great place to start.
Yeah. I mean, parkrun, or if you've got seek out a local running group, and run with them if you're not sure about running on your own, or or start your own group. If you haven't got anything there, start your own running group. It doesn't have to be anything formal, just something informal with you and a few friends. Just go out and run together. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate all your advice tonight, Taz. And everybody has really loved this chat. I think it's really important that we keep having chats like this, and encouraging more people from lots of different diverse backgrounds to join in with us in this fantastic, healthy sport of trail running. And I'm really looking forward to running with you in the Peak District.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait for that. It's
Fantastic.
been a lovely time.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Taz. And good night, everybody. See you on the trails.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.